What's up everyone, Vu of Envu Films. I am back with another video. And today's video is obviously filmed like complete trash. And as a professional filmmaker, videographer, cinema douche, whatever you want to call me, I should be embarrassed, but for some reason I'm not. But today's video is about what computer I use to edit my videos, whether it be YouTube videos, wedding films, corporate films, commercial films, documentaries. You have it, my all-in-one machine that I do everything with. And it is my Gigabyte Aero 16. This is the Best Buy version. It is a cheapo version because like the most high-end version comes with a 12th gen i9 12900H, 32 gigabytes of RAM, an RTX 3080 Ti, or probably just 3080 graphics card, which is already enough for anything. 4K LED screen, with accurate colors, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. That thing is like $4,300. So I am a Sony a7S3 Sony shooter. I like to film everything in 10-bit and S-Log 422. And my other computer, which was a Dell XPS 17, like 10th gen i7 with 64 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabyte SSD, was struggling quite a bit, especially once the timeline got a little more advanced and I applied some color grading. It started to struggle with timeline editing, even at half resolution. This is just XAVCS, if you know what that is. 10-bit 422, whatever. So as of late, I've been pretty jealous of all the tube douchers talking about Apple M1 Pro Max and all that stuff. And I was really tempted to give Apple a try, considering I'm an Android user and a PC user all my life. And thankfully, I decided not to, and mainly because I really don't like being stuck in one ecosystem. And the other thing is, I'm not trying to have to go through all the hoopla with my hard drives and all that stuff to get it to work with Apple. This whole thing, no one wants that. I definitely don't want that. And so I had this option. So the Best Buy version of the Gigabyte Aero has everything like the more expensive one has, except it only has a 1 terabyte SSD, whereas the really, really expensive one that's like $4,300 has a 3 terabyte SSD. I think it has two SSDs in there. My version only has an i7 12th gen 12700H instead of the i9 12900H, and this one has a 3070 Ti instead of the 3080 Ti. Also, it only has 16 gigabytes of RAM instead of 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it is almost only half the price of the top of the line Gigabyte Aero 16. So with that said, I edited a whole wedding film with the computer straight from Best Buy, and it is fine, it works, but it only performed marginally better than the my older laptop of i7 and the 10th gen i7 and 64 gigabytes of RAM and the RTX 2060. And the reason being was actually it just kept running out of RAM. So it would run really smooth and then it will start stuttering. So I had already planned this out. I knew this was going to happen. So I went ahead and I upgraded the RAM from 16 gigabytes of DDR4 3200 megahertz RAM to 64 gigabytes DDR4 3200 megahertz. And I added another hard drive, which is a 2 terabyte drive from Samsung, a Samsung 970 Evo Plus, which is plenty fast. I know there's also a 980, but I heard not a lot of computers could even make use of all that speed. So I think this is a good setup. And of course, Once I start editing, this thing is fast as crap. And again, it is still over $1,000 less than the top end model. So even with the computer, the upgraded RAM, and the upgraded SSD, it is still $1,000 less, over $1,000 less than the top line Gigabyte Aero 16. And I'm going to install two 32 gigabyte sticks, which is 64 gigabytes total, DDR4 3200 RAM. Inside here, there's two 8 gigabyte sticks, which I'm going to remove. And then I'm also going to add in a 2 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO Plus SSD. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing the screws. So first things first, I'm going to try to be proper with this. So here are the two 8 gigabyte sticks, and that's the 1 terabyte. And this is the 1 terabyte SSD that comes with the computer. I'm not going to replace that. That has all operating system, everything else in there, 1 terabyte. And I'm going to install the 2 terabyte Samsung SSD right here on this empty slot. And so first I'm going to disconnect this battery because, I just want to be proper. I've seen some guys do this without taking the battery off, but I'm going to try to be proper for this one. So this should disconnect the battery, I hope. I'll try to turn it on to make sure that that is the case. Definitely no power. Okay, battery is disconnected, and I'll start off with the SSD. Now I'm going to remove these two sticks of RAM. Just gotta double check how to remove it. Apparently just pull these two pins away and it releases the RAM. I learned that from YouTube. That's one stick of RAM. And the other stick of RAM. Out we go. Yep, it's definitely DDR4 only. So let's go ahead and Looks like it's in. RAM is in. SSD is in. Hope for the best. And just put the battery back. So everything is pretty much done. The only thing I have to do is I have to initialize and I guess add a partition to the disk. So this I'll just set as my D drive, and pretty much just got to go through Windows. Got to go through the partition. You search partition, you get to the screen, initialize. So as you can see, we have detected the drive, 2 terabytes, well, 1.81 jipping me with some terabytes. And then if I go back to here, go to my PC, and I right click properties, you will see that I have 64 gigabytes of RAM installed. So I highly recommend this Best Buy version of this computer. It has a gray screen, OLED, 4K, 16 by 10. Yeah, and if you do the upgrades yourself, you could easily get, crazy fast video editing machine that can play back 4K 10-bit 422 footage from XAVCS. This is not HS. I haven't tried it yet, but for XAVCS in full resolution with no drop frames in the timeline. And I could probably show you that now. Let's go ahead and open up my last project, which is in full. And I'm gonna try to show with this camera back here, because I just want to show the full speed, because if I do screen recording, there's obviously going to be some extra processing, so I didn't want that to affect it. It may not even affect anything because of just how capable the computer is. But yeah, pretty much this does everything I want. The only thing that's missing, obviously, between PC and like Mac is laptops, is pretty much the fact that to make use of its power, I have to be plugged in the AC adapter. Whereas I heard Macs, you could just walk around and edit, without having to be plugged in. But most of the time, I'm editing here right at my desk. The only time I'm editing anywhere else is maybe in my kitchen, where there's an outlet nearby. And when I do same-day edits at weddings, and that's probably like once a year, twice a year. And yeah, there's always an outlet nearby, so I'm not really too worried about that. But that'll be a good plus if Intel and NVIDIA combination was more efficient. But that's what happens when you have like a gangster graphics card and like a super fast processor. That's just what's going to happen. So now I have the project opened up, and it's in full. The fans are going. I don't know if you could hear it. The fans of this computer is not too overly loud, even in full high performance mode. In my opinion, it's actually not bad at all. You could hear it, but it's not too bad. And I'm gonna just go and just start playing this back in full. As you can see, this is a completed project for the most part. All the layers are there. I'm not holding back anything, and it is playing through in full. And when I check Task Manager, it is only using about 50% of the CPU, like maybe 60% of the CPU when it's like going at it. And memory is at 37%. It's definitely going over the 16 gigabytes that the computer came with. So yeah, as you can see, I don't know if you can see on here, but memory is now at 21 gigabytes of use. CPU is at 30, 40, 50%. It goes up from 30 to like 60%. GPU is actually being used as well. GPU usage goes up to about 43%. So yeah, this is just full blown, nothing held back, full 4K 60 footage in here. There's some 120 in here. 10-bit 422 XAVCS, not XAVCHS, and I do understand H.265 is probably more demanding on the computer. But as you can see, even with this XAVCS Sony footage, 10-bit 422, 10-bit, the CPU is not even fully utilized, and the GPU, I'm glad the GPU is being used very hard. And if there's a question whether 32 gigabytes should be enough for video editing, this 32 gigabytes of RAM should be enough for Premiere Pro editing 4K footage, 10-bit 422 to be specific. I know a lot of guys on YouTube will say, "Oh, there's 4K editing," but exactly what kind of 4K footage is it? Regular 4K 420 8-bit. Most computers will have no issues with it, but 422 10-bit, that is when things become an issue, and this computer is handling it no problems, and it's still playing, no drop frames. This is fantastic. So anyone interested in a nice PC and don't want to spend over $3,000, and you want to be at a color grade without worrying about color accuracy and all those things, I highly recommend this. Obviously, there's AMD. There's an AMD processor, and generally speaking, well, the fact is all the 12th gen Intel processors are just way faster than even the top AMD processors for laptops. This is a laptop computer, but the AMD ones, the Ryzen 9 stuff, is more efficient and it doesn't get as hot. And actually, that's probably one of the more reasons why I didn't mind that I was using an i7 12th gen and not an i9, because I do understand the i9 will get a lot hotter, and then it will probably throttle down, and like the performance difference between an i9 and i7 in a laptop will probably be that noticeable. And again, this is a finished project on timeline, and it's only using it's using less than 50% of the CPU. It's like 23, 25, 31%. It fluctuates. So the i7 1200H for 4K 10-bit 422 video editing is plenty. Anyways, I hope this help you with any decisions. I hope maybe it gave you another option if you're looking to another computer for your editing needs and you don't want to go with Apple M1 and all that nonsense. Yeah. Till next time, lighten up.
Hey man, your edit timeline looks so basic.
Hey man, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Man, that's not professional. It's so basic.
It really just depends on the project, bro.
Look at my timeline.
Oh, holy crap. Can I see the actual video?
Let me show you.
Sometimes you want to run away and cry because your mommy wants you to be a doctor, but you become a wedding filmmaker track. If you want to be real filmmaker, sign up for my masterclass. Only $500 1 month.
You want to learn? Go to my website. You sign up for free trial.